Well, hello, and a happy to everyone out there. Welcome to Uncensored Radio Cinema Club, assigned seating. We are here, we are parked, me and V ready to go. This
Indeed.
is a big conversation to be having this one. As soon as I saw it, I was like, I have a lot to say, I have a lot of feelings, and I need to share them, and I need someone to see it. And yeah, and the response to this movie and the disparity between the critics and the fans and the box office, it's a big conversation. So in case you haven't guessed, today on our side seating, we are talking about Michael, the recently released biopic question mark about pop icon Michael Jackson.
Well, I don't think there's a question mark. It's definitely a biopic.
Well, is it though?
I
I have a
mean,
question. I have a narrative question, but we'll get
and
into it.
as much as any other biopic. Hey, dogs!
Hey!
Knitting Club was canceled. Oh no.
Oh no! Oh, it's all right. Well, you can join our conversation if you've seen it. I have a lot of feelings, and as we're about to get into, there will be spoilers. It's kind of a hard movie to discuss because it's not necessarily a narrative thread, it's a series of vignettes.
Yes.
So that's one of my, I guess, issues. But we will get into it. This
But
movie has been
I
in
do
development.
think
Yeah,
that it
sorry.
does follow the story of
It
Michael's life.
it does.
And any biopic that you're going to watch is going to have innuendo and made up narratives.
Yeah.
I think in that, I mean, if you take Selena, if you take the Doors, those films have things that are fictionalized, but they're
I
still
think the
considered
yeah,
biopics.
I think the issue that I have, and I think the issue that a lot of people, probably my age, slightly younger, and even people older, that we saw all this happen in real time.
Oh,
This is prob
absolutely.
this is probably the first biopic of somebody that I remember, like, from my youth, that is prominent, like a massive biopic. They do little TV ones all the time, when somebody does something
Right.
weird. But I think there is this disparity between what they have put on screen and what we know.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think a lot of what we know isn't was in that film, but
Uh
I'll let you guide the discussion. You take it
we'll
where you
we'll we'll
need to
talk
go.
about it. We'll talk about it because this movie has been in development for a hot minute. So it was discussed. The very, very, very beginnings of it was in 2019, and it's 2026 now. So
Right.
it's been coming, and I'm sure ever since Michael passed that,
And COVID put everything on hold.
yeah, everything's been on hold. But it's been a long time coming, and I think obviously with somebody as well regarded, well known, maybe not regarded by some people, but as well known as famous slash infamous Michael Jackson, you were gonna get box office no matter what with this
It's
one.
amazing the box office.
The box
I
office
mean,
is amazing.
this
Yeah.
is the kind of box office I haven't seen in years. It's playing on 3 screens locally, and there was more people in that theater than I've seen in forever.
And back to back to back screenings at, like,
Yeah.
these
So the
big
box office is hitting.
yeah. And it's as I said, as to be expected with somebody who is as culturally relevant as Michael Jackson.
Oh,
He
absolutely. I
branched
mean,
across.
all of
Yeah.
this music was the soundtrack of my life.
And the music's probably the best part of the film.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. The music is the best part of the film, and that speaks more to his legacy than anything else. But we begin in 1966 with down on his luck steelworker Joseph Jackson, and then I was like, "No, I'm out already." All right. No, no. This is my first thing. The sanitization of Joe Jackson needs to be looked at, and this is the first thing
Do
that
you
they.
really think he was sanitized? I thought he
Yep.
was an asshole.
But okay, I think again, we grew up in a time where, well, I grew up in a time where the information coming out about Joe Jackson wasn't just from one person. Several, if not most of his children said how abusive he was. And it wasn't just a little bit of a smack and a little bit of maybe a belt. We know to the extent at which Joe Jackson would punish his children. You
I
know?
thought he was pretty fucking abusive in this film.
Yeah. And I think Dogs is commenting
me.
it now. The thing with these biopics is you have to deal with the family, the people who are part of the team. I went to the pre-screening for Bohemian Rhapsody and talking to someone who worked in the film, they had so much to deal with. I'm going to get to it early. I think if we wanted a more authentic Michael biopic that dealt with Michael and the issues that he had and that he experienced growing up, that the Jackson family shouldn't have been involved in the making of the movie. There is a strong bias to rehabbing certain parts of that story and certain
See,
people.
and I tend to disagree. I don't think they sugarcoated it. I think the scene where he gets the belt is pretty horrific. I was upset. I teared up.
Yeah, but it's also not just Joe. Did you ever see American Dream, the I guess what is it, the hallmarky kind of TV movie
Yeah, no,
that
I
they
don't
did
think I
about the
did.
family? And Michael says it himself in interviews. He gave back as good as he got at some points. He would hit Joe. He would fight back against Joe. And
Well, I would hope that at some point that all of those boys would. Joe was an asshole.
He was an asshole, but I don't know. I feel like the film, especially at the beginning, wanted us to, or watching interviews with Catherine and stuff, she just lets him, oh yeah, that was a different time. That's just how you raise children. All right. But you don't have to beat a child to parent a child.
But it was far more commonplace then than it is now.
I understand that, but Michael, from his own words, said it was pretty relentless. It was constant. We saw it twice.
But I did get the impression that it was more than we saw. I mean, you only have 2 hours to relay somebody's
and
life.
That's probably one of the biggest problems. Yes, it was a spectacle. There were spectacle parts of this movie, but to do it justice as a story, it probably shouldn't be a movie. It should be a series or a something like that.
I didn't feel like they sanitized Joe. I felt like throughout that there was a through line of him being a big fucking asshole.
Right.
Actually,
there is also an elephant not in the room.
There was absolutely an elephant not in the room. I thought so
too. Not to call the legendary Janet Jackson an elephant, but for her to have seen an early draft of the movie and go, nope, no thank you, I'm out. I don't want it. I don't want to be involved. I think there might have been even a legal stipulation that she is not involved because she does not exist in this world.
No, they don't ever reference her or show her.
Not even a little girl that looks like her.
Nope.
She does not exist. And
agreed.
I see, again, I think I knew too much to go in unbiased on this one. The fact that LaToya was there on the red carpet and all that kind of stuff, and she's randomly in the movie for some reason because LaToya's there. I can't walk back what I know, and that's not good. But we all remember late 80s, early 90s Latoya Jackson, who
Yes.
had some very damning things to say about Joe Jackson, not just
Mhm.
physical assault, but sexual assault and all that kind of stuff. But then walked all that back, and everyone walked all that back, and the family narrative was no, she only did that because of her abusive marriage, but it wasn't just about Joe. She called Michael a child molester.
And that it did not come up. That is definitely sanitized.
But I just don't. All right. Full disclosure: everyone in that family except for Janet Jackson gives me the ick in the biggest way possible. I think they are some of the biggest leeches in history that are just exhuming this body and going, "Oh, we'll polish it up, spit shine it, and go.
Yeah,
This it'll make money."
I definitely got the impression that the coffers were getting thin and they needed a hit.
Jermaine Jackson. Let's look at Jermaine, who famously, when he was stuck at Motown after he
Right?
left, the Jackson Five left, which is portrayed in this movie. Jermaine stayed to have a solo career.
Oh.
And in his solo career, he called Michael a race traitor because he whitened his skin. No mention of that. Now that
They did not mention it, but you could definitely see it.
His son is playing Michael. I was like, I don't know. But anyway, all that aside, the young man that plays young Michael Jackson, stunning.
Yes.
Stunning actor. That voice.
Mm-hmm.
That voice.
He was at the Met Gala last night.
God, that voice is amazing. And I think he hits it just right with that innocence, that Giuliano Cruz-Valdi, that's his name. I don't know how you get better casting than that. And as much as an issue as I have with Joe Jackson, Coleman Domingo was brilliant in the part.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Brilliant. And the same with Nia Long. I think that she played Catherine as we know her.
Right.
Later on, brilliantly.
Mm-hmm.
But it was heart. Definitely played on the old heartstrings, and seeing those early formations. Do you think that it was a bit of a read that when the other brothers first sung, they were so out of tune? And Michael was the only one that could sing. I was like,
yeah, you would think that they wouldn't want that to be out there in the universe.
But again, there is enough video evidence of them trying to remain relevant when Michael was gone that,
right.
Okay, maybe talent skips a few generations and
a few
within
siblings.
the family. Yeah, a few siblings. But this is a typical small town kids made good kind of moment. They are pushing it, and they were and still are a success, a modern American success story. How much of that is, as Joe reminds us throughout this movie and in real life, as Michael says, that you wouldn't have any of this if it wasn't for me.
Right.
And that is probably true.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Just as disturbing as it is, you're like, oh, that drive has to come from somewhere, but that drive never really left either. And that's part of the problem, I think, with everything that went on in this movie, is that he'll never loosen the reins.
Well, you saw that in the way that he manipulated the Victory Tour and the Don King involvement and all that. You did see that Joe was not ever letting go.
And again, because we know what we know, the dissonance between the way he treats his, I guess we'll call them work family to the other child he just had a couple of streets over that nobody knew about for a hot while. Giovanni Jackson, who is Joe Jackson's
Right.
illegitimate daughter, I guess, not part of the dynasty,
Child from another mother.
paints a completely different picture of this man.
See, I haven't.
Loving, involved, affectionate, there for birthdays, all that kind of stuff. Where the Jacksons, Jehovah's Witness, I believe, correct?
Yeah. Yep.
No birthdays, no Christmas, none of that. Strictly business. She was allowed to call him daddy. Everyone else had to call him Joseph.
Joseph.
I'm Joseph to you is
Mhm.
verbatim the words that Janet Jackson said he told her.
Right.
What is that switch? That's I think if we're going to investigate the history of abuse and stuff like that in this family, that's a big mental game to play with people as well.
But it's not uncommon.
Not uncommon, I know, but
with multiple families that one family is treated better than the other.
But I don't know. It just makes me go, oh, this was a cash cow.
Yeah.
These kids were a cash cow, and the other one was the one you loved.
Mm-hmm.
That's like, oh, ouch. That is. I don't know. I have a big issue with Joe Jackson in general.
Joe Jackson was a horrible fucking person. He was abusive. Right. He was exploitive. He was every ick that you can think of. You know, chances are he was a sexual abuser, or he was a sexual abuser. You know what I mean? Joe Jackson was a horrible fucking person. And I don't think there was any point in this movie where Coleman Domingo made him likable.
I don't know. I just think it was, and again, I think for a cinema going audience, you're not going to make him an out and out capital V villain when he has to drive the story for a certain point of it.
I don't think anybody portrayed him as an angel.
Varying degrees, we'll call it. We'll move on. Because as guilty as he is, Catherine was there.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a different time, it was a very, very different time. And in that religious structure and in that marriage,
you also have to assume that Catherine was abused too.
And they never allude to that.
They never. But I think that
it would have to be right.
That's an easy jump.
And if
from what we know and from what was in that movie, it's a very easy jump that she didn't feel safe to stick up for Michael.
And if
any of her children.
If we're incorrect on any of this, because I know that there are Jackson aficionados out there that know a hell of a lot more than me. If we're incorrect on this, please do correct us. But she, even in modern times, portrays a lot of battered wife syndrome kind of traits.
I think
even after that's separated.
A very easy inference from the movie, not from what we know. I think that inference is there.
Is there? Sorry.
I think it's minimalized. I think it's not in there in your face. I don't think they wanted to traumatize children or youngsters who would be seeing this movie, but I think it's there. It's implied. It's not swept under the rug. It's just not on display.
Mm-hmm. So, not to call you out, but as somebody who was there,
no, I was there.
For these moments in history,
mm-hmm.
The Jackson 5 verse Off the Wall. What was that moment like? Did you follow them that closely that there was, or was it
my sister Lisa did? My sister Lisa did. I kind of let go of the Jackson 5 in high school, and by letting go of the Jackson 5, I also let go of Michael Jackson. I was moving in a more rock-oriented music
because they were, I guess, considered kiddie,
They were considered,
like
bubble
tween,
gum. They used to
like
call it bubble gum for
bubblegum pop,
tweens. Yeah,
like One Direction, that kind
like
of thing. New
like
Kids on the
all of
Block.
the
Yeah,
K-pop, BTS, you know,
yeah.
that very geared towards youngsters and teenagers,
So
tweens even.
when Michael decided to separate from that, was it a moment? You know, like we have these defining moments when Ginger left the Spice Girls, when the Beatles go set, you know, what was
Well,
it like that, or was it quietly a bubbling under thing?
it was more of, I had no expect, you know, they hyped the album. It was the MTV era, you know, people were talking about it. It was in the zeitgeist, but it was not anything that I ever intended to listen to because I had already dismissed Michael Jackson. But my younger sister um purchased Off the Wall, and it was so much different than anything the Jacksons had ever put out. You know, I mean, Head and Shoulders different.
I think it. I think it definitely captures, and I'll give them this in the movie. There's the glimpses behind the scenes. I would have liked more, just because it's me, of the creative
The
process
creative, I agree with you. That was
behind
very
it.
undersold. You know, just
Very
a little tapping on the desk. It's like, let's expand that. Let's add some riffs. Let's let him create that. Let's see. I
because
agree with you
yeah,
completely on that.
he famously would tell the musicians what to play. Like he
Right.
would sing it to, like, again, not a musician, but a musical enough ear from growing up
Right.
within the music industry
Yeah.
that he
He
could
couldn't write it
tell
down, but
bass
he could hear
lines,
it in
and
his head. Yeah.
he could tell, and that creative process is interesting enough. I think, like,
Well, it is.
I
It does
yeah,
show the genius of this man.
and I think that that's a really important
Hmm.
thing. You know,
Yeah,
like
I would have liked. I
let's
absolutely would have liked to have seen more of that process.
let's look at the singles from that album. Okay,
Hmm.
Don't Stop Till You Get Enough,
Yeah.
Rock With You, Off the Wall, She's Out of My Life,
Oh
and
my
Girlfriend.
God, she's out of my life. That song
But
has a
again,
through line for me.
that She's Out of My Life wasn't even referenced.
I know.
Like we got him surpassing the Beatles, which is
Yeah.
huge. You know,
Yeah.
we saw that. There is a lot of show don't tell in
Hmm.
this. Not in a good way though. It's like, we, as you said, that condensed timeline makes it hard to get into the meat of certain sections that
Right.
I think fans would have wanted a bit more. This is a
I.
very
I mean,
general public skewing view.
the Brian Wilson biopic. I don't know if you ever saw that one. Um, but they went deeply into the creative head, you know, of how he would hear these melodies, and I would have liked to have seen some of that for this movie.
Yeah. Because it's around this time as well that we have one huge, glaring, probably life defining relationships of Michael's that is not included within the movie, but was definitely filmed because they cast an actress.
Right.
Diana Ross, nowhere to be
Yeah.
seen. Nowhere to be seen. And things were shot. Like with Kat Graham was cast and played Diana Ross in the film.
Hmm.
Then there was a screening, and all of that stuff disappeared.
Yeah. Well, you definitely have the feeling that this was in production for a long time. Um, I have this running theory: if a movie's in production for a long time, it's probably going to suck because they are trying to make something fit. But I mean,
Or take something out.
or take stuff out. Yeah, yeah.
Because there's no dancing around the fact that that is a problematic relationship.
No, but there's no dancing around the fact that his relationship with Barry Gordy was probably problematic, you know?
Yeah, and that wasn't really examined either.
Yeah.
Berry Gordy is dressed up as the savior, and
the genius
beautiful.
behind the
Yeah,
genius,
look, a beautiful relationship as depicted on screen.
Mhm.
But I think the more important one is the relationship between him and his bodyguard.
Yes, I agree.
Right? That was it gave me, I guess, I don't know, a little hope that there was someone for a time in his corner that was looking after his best interests, that it wasn't
Mhm.
just about the money and how much financial
Right.
gain you could make from this kid.
And Phil was
Who,
with him 24/7. This wasn't just a bodyguard.
well,
This was a
there is
nanny. You know.
it's been going around online, especially on TikTok. There is a letter that he wrote to Bill, and he called him his father. Like, he said, "You were my father."
Mhm.
That's they famously fell out in the 90s, but even after they fell out, they quickly resolved their issues. And Michael had him on salary for his entire life and paid for all of his funeral costs and all that kind of stuff. So
Mhm.
that relationship meant something to this man, and I
Yeah.
think that it's portrayed well enough in the movie that it gave me a
Mhm.
little bit of at least there was somebody.
Right.
There was somebody there that cared and was down enough. Dogsy says, "Think as a biopics, you often don't get everything you want, especially if it's a band and only one band I can truly get indebted to the Sex Pistols, because you watch Sid and Nancy from the 80s, and you watch the series,
Yeah.
and you kind of get to see behind the curtain the pressure and management. I don't know, I'm just rambling a bit, but I think these biopics are more satisfying with a follow-up minute. Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's time, especially for somebody who was famous since their childhood. That's a lot to cover. Like,
Yeah. It's my
that
childhood.
I think that's also why there's so much of a struggle with the Madonna biopic they're trying to
Mhm.
launch, because there's so much to cover. How do you do it in one film? How do you
And
make
I
that
would
work?
also bet with Madonna, there's stuff she doesn't want on film.
Of course, and it'll be, I think, even with Britney, there's a Britney biopic in the works as well, based on the book. But how do you cover everything? How do you give that story the justice it deserves? And that's what I
Probably
go.
not till they're
Yeah,
dead.
yeah, that's the
Oh well.
hardest part. That is the hardest part. But we do see the schism between Michael and everyone's making a big thing out of Twister. Twister is selling out on the shelves in stores. But it is, we talk about it on UCR Live all the time. There is a very noticeable pattern of people stagnating or stop growing mentally at the age at which they become famous, because they lose their autonomy and things are done for them, to them.
They lose their independence. It's
They
like,
lose their
he
freedom.
couldn't go to a store. He couldn't go to a McDonald's. He couldn't
But
go to a prom.
do you think that also explains the relationship with the brothers? I mean, I can't not imagine that there is jealousy there because of
Oh,
how talented this
absolutely.
little boy was, and they were
Right.
backing him. And I know that the Jackson 5, the others did contribute,
Yeah.
but it was always Michael as the centerpiece of that
Right.
band. And for them,
Right.
they needed him. They still do to this
Yeah.
day.
To this
Otherwise, we
day,
wouldn't
that's
have
why
this
this
movie.
movie was released in spite of
Otherwise,
its problems.
but the relationship between the brothers and Michael is something I would have liked a bit more of as well. They are
But
so,
you got to get in those singing and dancing moments, because that's what
and
people
look,
are there to see.
that is the brilliance of this, is that we are now in the Jafar Jackson portrayal of Michael, and it's pretty strong.
It is pretty strong.
It's pretty. There are some. One of Janet's main criticisms was there were some acting moments that didn't really ring true. And there were some that were a little bit hot. I was like, oh, it's a bit TV movie-ish. But there are other
Yeah,
moments where he
there
really
were
pulls it through.
moments. But
And yeah, the big schism for in behind the scenes, allegedly, but this comes from a lot of sources, is that Janet offered feedback and
mhm,
Jermaine, who is Jafar's father, would not take the criticism, huge surprise, of the one person who is the actual paid actress in the family.
right.
And is our dramatic actress. If you go back and watch Janet's movies,
Yeah.
they're not
The
fluff.
movie she
She's
did
an
with
actress.
Tupac, what was it?
Yep. Poetic Justice.
Yeah, Poetic Justice.
But even the Tyler Perry movies, that Why Did I Get
Yep.
Married? She has meaty roles. She's
Yes.
not,
She has
and
chops.
you would think that they would maybe, I don't know, ask her for help. Like if it wasn't ringing true,
Well,
that's
there
a
seems
director
to be
issue.
there does seem to be a pattern of narcissism in that family.
And sexism, because who would listen
Yeah.
to a female in the Jackson
Right.
family?
Right.
But again, religious background, and that's how they were raised, and all of that kind of thing. But I think he does a very admirable job. Shines in the performance,
Yes.
I think, more than anything else, because of the mimicry, and
Hmm.
that's what it is, and
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with that either, because
No.
you can't make Michael Jackson your own at
No.
this point. He is
No.
a
He is
public character.
iconic. He belongs to time.
All right. Can we talk a little bit more about the illness side of it as well? Because it gets baby mentions, like baby mentions about what might have actually been wrong with Michael physically.
Right.
So vitiligo, obviously,
Yep.
and the good thing about living in the modern day is that people are going back and finding these photos of him as a young man, where with modern technology you can see discrepancies in coloration where things might be makeup and things
Right.
might be, so it wasn't a lie.
No.
The biggest thing
But
is
he
that,
was bleaching. He was definitely bleaching.
but it had gotten to a point where it was visibly noticeable.
Yeah. Oh,
So
absolutely.
his I guess resolution was to just beat it to the punch.
Hmm.
And which I get, again, as somebody who has worked in this industry that relies so much on your appearance, and
Oh,
then to
absolutely.
have it driven as frenzied as Michael Jackson, any small thing, people notice the change.
Yep.
So that was his reasoning to get it done. I didn't know Michael Jackson had lupus.
I didn't either. I mean, I remember that it was alluded to after his death
Hmm.
that the doctor was talking about the Copaxone and the different um, immunosuppressant drugs that were trying to treat lupus, but it was never brought up during his lifetime.
Because it was a secret,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Hmm.
Because people didn't, and I don't think still understand what
Oh no,
lupus
that kind
is.
of
So could you inform people a little bit in your official role?
um, autoimmune disorders are usually very slow to be diagnosed because they're not immediately apparent, and they are often dismissed as, psychological problems and not physical problems. But an autoimmune disorder such as lupus, some of the arthritis is, there's even arguments that some diabetes is autoimmune, is when the body's own antibodies begin to attack the body itself. So with lupus, you're having a systemic attack of connective tissue. You're seeing joints and fingers and pain.
So
There's a
he would have
chronic
this is
pain.
yeah, this is what I was trying to get at. He would have been in pain.
Yes, a chronic pain and a chronic exhaustion
Hmm.
with lupus.
And for somebody that is operating at that higher level,
Right.
it's no question, or it's not really a surprise that something like a pain addiction medication thing would come into play
Well, they also hinted that he resisted it and resisted it until the pain
until
was
he couldn't,
couldn't, and
which is a big thing in this movie as
burn
well.
pain is some of the worst pain in the world.
No,
That affects the surface nerves. It's burn pain is awful.
and I think that they gave that moment the gravitas it needed in this
Yes.
movie
hmm
because, and I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it. Again, because of the internet and because of where we exist in society, that incident was the exact halfway point of his life.
Yeah.
That is so, I don't know, it's ominous, it's creepy,
hmm
it just, I am in goosebumps right now thinking about it.
Yeah.
And as much as they gave it, I don't think I think there could have been more because, as you said, that burn pain is not something that ever
Yeah, and if he's living
he would
with
ever recover
constant
from.
pain, constant joint pain, and then you throw the burn pain on top of it, this is excruciating pain.
It's
This is
just, yeah.
like mauled by a bear and tossed into a vat of lemon juice kind of pain.
And just expected to continue, as Joe said.
And just
Joe's first question: when will he perform?
just continued,
Yeah.
you know?
Now, again, because of where we're existing in the world, there is a lot of talk about the victory tour because Joe had Michael under his thumb, even though we had the scene of him being fired by fax. Oh, very, very dated.
Yeah.
The question of how much Michael was involved in the victory tour is coming up. Now, I don't know how much you've heard about this, but apparently on that tour and for the good maybe first half, nearly 3/4, the stage was very low lit. So you couldn't actually really tell who was on stage.
Yeah.
And that maybe somebody who was really supposed to be there, they were really hoping was there,
Was
wasn't.
it?
Because I was watching a TikTok, her mother, this lady's mother went to two, was lucky enough, could you imagine,
Right.
to go to two dates on the victory tour, one early on and one towards the very, very end. And she said the difference was noticeable. So I would love if there's anyone that was on the victory tour and could support that conspiracy theory. I would love to know. I would love to know a bit more because these are the things that we're never going to hear about because if it was true,
Well, it wasn't out in the general zeitgeist at the time. Those allegations did not surface at the time. They all surfaced later.
Yes. Now, again, we had some very, very noticeable moments and people within this story. Miles Teller as John Bronca.
Yeah.
He was really good.
He was really good. And it was a small part for Miles Teller.
But he acting. I don't know if we don't see it as much. I don't know if we see it as much anymore or something, but like in small things. And again, is it a little bit of a sanitization of maybe the person who is still around and involved in the Michael Jackson estate stuff? But maybe. But again, somebody that was on his side.
Yes.
Somebody that was on his side that cared about him, that knew what he cared about. And what about Mike Myers? You don't even know who he was.
Oh, yes. Okay. I didn't.
Mike Myers.
It
took me until I got
I didn't realize who he was until you just pointed it out. Yeah.
I just went, that was fucking Mike Myers as Walter.
Yeah,
Yetnikoff from CBS Records. I was like,
yeah.
that is a transformative moment. I was like,
That was pretty good. I did not realize it till just this moment that that's who that was.
Mike Myers. I was like,
Mhm.
because I was sitting there going, he's really familiar. Who is that?
There was some star power in this film.
And not in huge roles, which is
Yeah.
refreshing.
Mhm.
But he was great. He was very, very good. Now, I have questions.
For
Thriller
me,
is
because I'm old.
just in general. Let's talk about Thriller, the
Yes.
album Thriller. This was his moment, right? This was his ascension moment.
Thriller was a moment in time. Thriller was like transformative for music. Thriller was like transformative for music videos, transformative for music films. I mean, some of the stuff from Thriller is still,
Undeniable, and not just in a visual thing.
yeah,
I got out of the cinema and got in the car, and on the radio, Jason Derulo.
yeah.
These two songs straight after each other. Falsetto, bass lines.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm like, okay, well, that's a Michael Jackson affectation.
Yeah. Thriller was really transformative in music. I can't stress that enough.
And then the next song after Jason Derulo,
Mhm.
Rihanna, Please Don't Stop the Music.
Yep.
Which samples Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson.
I was like, what? The universe is doing some wacky things today, but
Michael Jackson
the reach
influenced everything. But the scandal toned down the legacy. You know what I mean? It's like
definitely
everybody was touched by Michael Jackson in some way. Every musician, every videographer, to this day, every concert, I was watching the Victory Tour, and all I could think of was that this is the Eras Tour. You know what I mean? It was transformative, and then his legacy was so diminished by the scandal.
And there's so much but we don't get to that, which we will talk about.
Right.
Which we will talk about. It was great to see the behind the scenes of him visiting children in the hospital and being so moved by the burn unit and all that kind of stuff, that we see his philanthropy that way and his relationship with children. All that was very heartwarming. The Crips and the Bloods.
That was for real, though. That was part of that.
Is that just something so strange that it has to be true?
They look like studio dancers. They did not look like gangs. But that was for real. That was part of the promotion. That was part of the talk at the time, that he was using street gangs and trying to, create a real Black moment. That's very real. That is part of what he was doing in that moment.
And again, I was too young to know. I didn't experience this, Michael. This was as I was growing up. I was born in 1983, so this is how I know him. You know what I mean? As the icon. I didn't see the icon become the icon.
Well, I mean, when you're 4 and you're watching the Jackson 5 commercial on Saturday, or not commercial, cartoon on Saturday morning, right?
Yeah.
It's iconic for a 4-year-old. This is iconic. ABC. You're singing into your hairbrush, you're dancing on your quilt. It's iconic when you're 4, and it's iconic. It is the soundtrack of my life, even though I stopped being a fan at like 13 or 14. My sister Lisa had Off the Wall, and actually she created a fan in my father because she played Off the Wall so much.
And there is this, I guess, really refreshing thing also happening on social media, that young people are discovering this music, and they can't reconcile somebody who was more famous than Taylor Swift. They go, oh well, he was just Taylor Swift back in the day.
Oh, no, he
No.
was way more than Taylor
No.
Swift, and
No,
I love
no.
Taylor Swift,
Yeah,
I'm
and
I'm
we
a I'm
all
a
we love Taylor Swift here, but
yeah,
this is a different level.
yes.
This is a level that no one will ever reach again. It's not possible
I
in
won't
this
say
modern day.
never, I will not say never, but nobody has, you know?
I just think, but just through the way that music used to
Taylor's
be
gotten pretty fucking close.
yeah, I just mean through the way that music was consumed. You couldn't
She has,
stream. You
yeah,
couldn't stream. You had to go out and physically seek out and buy that item. And
right.
that's why the sales are so crazy when you add streaming on top of it. That's why he's at the top of the charts now. Like
Again, but
today.
he is like reemerged. It's like almost every generation has refound him in some
Yeah.
way, shape, or form.
And I think again that's the refreshing thing about living in this modern day is that yes, there is the latter part of his life that is problematic. But there is
The entire
also
life is problematic.
but
Yeah.
famously in the
Yes.
public eye
Right.
problematic.
Right. Right.
But there is also the reality behind those allegations as well. That some of it
There's still people
is
that
not true.
defend him unceasingly.
There are some people that allege things that are not necessarily true.
And Alfonso Ribera and Macaulay Culkin still to this day defend him.
I watched a little interview with one of the guys who was later in life one of his bodyguards. He said, "My children, my children and my stepchildren, both essentially lived at Neverland with Michael because we were on site so much." And these people, I think now that they're not beholden to the iconography of Michael, can speak their truth. And he was saying that he was for all intents and purposes a regular dude who just had a really shitty childhood that stunted him in certain ways. And
you can definitely see that.
Of course you can. And the Martin
Yeah.
Bashir, the Martin Bashir interview, which did a lot of damage to Michael and this alleged secret sex room and
Right.
in Neverland, was actually there before he bought the property.
Right.
It's a panic room. And that's what the security guard said. It was a panic room. The other things in there were related to his survival, because when people used to, and this is the interview that I said, people used to parachute into Neverland on a semi-regular basis to get to Michael.
Right.
And he would have to stay in that panic room for up to a day until they'd cleared the property.
Right.
Like, what world is that? what world? And people don't understand why he was not really in touch with reality. I mean, I do. Come on.
Yeah, I I mean, but those like I said, those scandals kind of obliterated his legacy.
But I feel
even though his legacy is still there,
I feel like we're rounding a corner on them though, where people are going, okay, we've gotten far enough away from Finding Neverland, which is now disappeared because the Jackson family made it disappear.
Yeah.
But there's been enough time after those allegations and that film for people to look into the reality of that situation too, and maybe question what the motives of those people were.
If you could still convince me either way.
Yeah, I mean, exactly.
Abused people abuse people. So you have a pattern of abuse. He was probably sexually abused in that music industry. We know that exists.
At the end of the day, he was found not guilty.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, whether you agree with it or not.
At the end of the day, he was found not guilty. But I mean, there's enough doubt that I could be convinced either way.
I guess it doesn't help that you look into somebody like Wade Robson, who, if you want to deep dive and really question everything you know about supporting the victim, Wade Robson is next level grifter.
Yeah.
That hurts. That hurts as somebody who is a dance kid and idolize, you know, Michael and all of that kind of stuff, and Wade Robson especially because of his work with Britney. But then you look and see what kind of dude he is, and you're like, oh, so I should trust what you say.
Look at all the Svengali shit that went on at Nickelodeon that Kat talked about
Yeah,
in other shows.
it just makes things. But we live in a world where you can be a little bit more objective. There is a mainstream, especially in the 90s. I re-listened to History the other night. There is this narrative, even on that movie, on that album, about this man is so weird. Why is he so weird? Why? Because we made him that way.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, yeah.
it's like the Britneys of the world. It's like,
yeah,
these
child
people,
stars are get warped.
It's like these certain people are put on a pedestal, an iconic pedestal, but they're almost like a sacrifice to culture.
Yeah, yeah.
It's tragic.
That's
tragic.
Well said, but yes, child stars get warped. We've seen it again and again and again. I mean, from Judy Garland.
Judy Garland. I just listened. Yeah, I just listened to the Liza. Even Liza Minnelli didn't have a normal childhood because of Judy,
right?
And what the world did to Judy. Mm-hmm. Marilyn Monroe, James Dean,
right?
Jim Morrison, all these people.
Yeah.
Amy Winehouse. Like it's these people that have brilliance and artistic and aspirational. It's like, it's very leechy, very, it's like we hold them up for as long as we can, then you tear them down. But
right.
There is no denying, and I think this is one of the things to take away from this movie. If you love an artist, go see them live while you can.
Oh, absolutely.
Because the best parts of this movie were those moments. And as somebody who never got to see Michael live, it was emotional, actually, strangely. I found myself getting a little bit at some points.
I was very, very emotional too. And I ended up going by myself. I was going to go with my sister Lisa, but then, shit happened. So I went by myself because I had to see it for tonight. And I got misty like more than once. I was like, oh my God.
A few times, right?
Yeah. It's like, it was the soundtrack of my life. It was very evocative of moments in my life. It was very evocative of my own history. And then seeing these moments that were on, the Tonight Show or talked about on Michael Douglas, that were part of the history of entertainment in my life, and seeing it as an adult, thinking he really was just a fucking kid. He was.
There's a tragedy.
There is a tragedy to it that I didn't see growing up with it, but as an adult looking back at it,
But this is the part we're not meant to see. This is we're not meant to understand or notice the sacrifice that is made to steal Michael, to literally steal Michael's words, to try and make the world a better place.
Yeah.
A more creative place, a more beautiful place through a legacy of music and philanthropy and good deeds.
Yeah. And, speaking as a nurse, one of the things I want to throw out there, it's probably kind of gross out a lot of people, but when you are in a burn unit, when you are in a cancer unit, when you are dealing with that level of sickness, there are smells and sights that will never leave you. There are horrors that only somebody in those rooms will see.
And he saw it all with children.
And he willingly went into those rooms to give comfort.
Children.
Yeah.
With children.
Yeah.
And there is a lot made about the Peter Pan syndrome of it all. It is referenced several times in this movie.
Several times in the movie, yeah.
I don't think it's as simple as wanting to look like Peter Pan. As far back as one of the first scenes in the movie, you see Joe criticizing him because of his nose.
Right.
Like his father. He didn't want to look like his father.
Right.
That's psychological stuff. That's not just vanity. That's not just an obsession with appearance for appearance's sake. That's something that was ingrained into this man not only to
Well,
reflect, and
and
again,
abusive parents are going to magnify every flaw as
yeah,
they manipulate you. That's for real.
like it's the frustrating thing is he put it all down in his music, and it's all there.
Yeah.
If you look at the music, it's there. Like, go back and listen to Childhood. That song is heartbreaking.
Mm-hmm.
He's always
Yeah.
looking for that childhood that he never had. So
Yep.
before you judge me, try hard to love me. You know,
Yeah.
it's heartbreaking that despite what may have what people allege have happened, that it may have all started with good intention,
Mm-hmm.
and that it got blurred somewhere along the way. It's hard to, you know, you can't. There's certain things I said, as again, we can't know. We'll never know
Mm-hmm.
about what happened behind closed doors.
But
But we do know there was a cute.
we certainly
Sorry,
know enough to know that it happened.
yeah.
That this,
There
yeah,
is there is certainly a cute CGI monkey.
yeah.
Bubbles, bubbles.
Bubbles,
We love bubbles. I
bubbles.
get through hell with bubbles. I don't, I feel like maybe one scene with Bubbles might have been enough. I feel like we
Yeah.
got a bit of a Bubbles. It's like Bubbles is eating into some narrative time here because we want to look at a cute CGI monkey. Like,
Yes.
we know he had a monkey. We get it. I like the llama. I was down for the llama. Louis was cute.
The
And
llama was cute.
There is those little moments of complete bizarreness when like after that really tense scene with Joe and Catherine, and Joe looks out the window and there's a giraffe.
A giraffe.
You're like,
Yeah.
but that's the reality of the situation these people were living in. It trying hard to work in entertainment industry, and your son is so obsessed with fantasy that it collides in such a strange way that
Yeah.
none of these people, the only people who would have known regular life is Joe and Catherine.
Mm-hmm.
Even the older siblings, they were pushed into the entertainment industry. That's not a
Yep.
regular life, you know. As much as they want to go,
Well, I
yes,
mean,
we're the all American family,
the siblings that didn't go out on tour were
but they still
left,
grew up. They still
but they
grew
were
up in
left
the sphere of
behind.
it.
Their entire upbringing was shaped by the fact that the other brothers were on tour.
And that's what I mean. They don't
Yeah.
even know what regular
Right.
life is,
Right.
because they're the siblings of the Jackson Five. And then when Jermaine tooted, they booted Randy in. Let's go, Randy. It's your
Yeah.
turn. You've been called up with the
You're on
Jacksons
deck.
now. It's like Janet. But yeah, yeah, all of that, and this is again an argument for a bigger story, a bigger canvas to play on, because you're not going to get that story.
Mm-hmm.
It's so hard that, and we're never going to get Michael's version of Michael's story unless
But
there is
like
a
you said,
transcript somewhere.
it's in his music.
It's in his music, and that's the only way you can really know him. And I think
Yeah.
for people, that's enough for some people. But we end the movie, and there's been a lot of conversation about people looking for the rest of the movie when the movie finishes. But this is the zenith, I guess. This is when he was reaching the peak of stardom, bad world tours, solo
Yep.
world tours, becoming this icon. And to no one's surprise, Michael Part 2 is now in production.
Because they're making a lot of money.
This second part is gonna be harder to sugarcoat.
The second part is, if they whitewash it, they're not gonna, it won't be seen.
Well, this is the thing. A lot of people are going, wow, they don't mention the sexual assault case. They legally can't.
Right.
In those rulings, there are things there are certain clauses in those rulings that they cannot be used for
Right.
the anonymity of the victims, etc., etc. So how do you put that on screen? Because you can't not see it.
Right.
But then so the way that you would have to do that would be from Michael's point of view. But how do we get Michael's point of view?
Right.
Because we're at a Jackson family estate mandated directed movie. Luckily, this is the point where the family did coalesce around him and everyone kind of came to support. Because when he was having
apart from Paris, the other two children are on board.
I just mean the siblings. Like when they were going through the trial and everything, all of the family, Latoya, Jermaine, they were all there to support Michael. It wasn't as fractured as it was in the early 90s when they were, call a spade, when they were vying for attention.
Yeah.
Because by this point they'd realized you're never going to eclipse Michael Jackson. He is your brother. Maybe.
Yeah.
He is your
Don't
brother.
fight him. Attach.
But this is and again, if you had that strong a moral stance against the allegations against him and you came into the fold, that tells me more about you than it does about Michael Jackson, allegedly.
Yeah.
Right. So there is more to come. They are filming Michael Part 2 because obviously with a box office like this one, they're not going to let that just peter out and slide away. Budget estimated between somewhere 165 to 200 million. Box office is currently sitting at $435 million.
And it's only week 1.
This is Marvel movie kind of shit.
This is, I that's what I was saying. Right? It's like I have not seen, my local theater right here in my little podunk town, 3 screens. 3 screens. I have not seen that since before the pandemic.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. So I guess the only real thing left to do is give it a rating out of 5 sequin gloves. Do you have a rating for Michael? It's hard.
It's really hard because there are traps in this movie. There's problems, but just for the sheer music of it, just for the sheer remembrance of it, I'm gonna give it. I'm leaning towards 3.5, but I also would like to give it 4 too, because it did move me. It was very sentimental for me. It was, I actually told my sister that our next slumber party, we're going to watch this movie.
Look, I am in the same boat. Again, as you said, you saw the whole thing. I grew up with Michael as an icon and as somebody who has always has worked in the industry. He is a god,
Yeah.
You are never, and as I just said, you are never gonna get, unless there is some transcript somewhere that he was writing a book, you're never gonna get his point of view on things. We're only gonna get an assumed version. Whether that aligns with the Jackson family estate's version of things is a huge question for me.
It's very rare to get a biopic that isn't sentimentally biased.
Which is part of the problem. But the performances of the actors within the piece were strong enough. The music speaks for itself. Those recreations of very famous performances were enough to make it. If you have even a passing interest in Michael Jackson, you should see this movie. I feel like.
Even if you don't, just to see it for the music. Just to see it for the, I mean, you forget how vast that legacy is. And like you said, half of the songs on Off the Wall didn't even make the cut.
Yeah. And for every mega hit there's an album worth of other things that you can discover.
Yep.
And that's probably one of the reassuring things, is that people, younger generations who probably only know him from the latter part of his life and the tragic part of his life and the parodied part of his life,
Right.
are actually discovering what's underneath all of that, and kind of what society did to him.
Yeah.
From making him that famous, and you know,
And keeping him under that microscope for so long.
and staying under that microscope. That's the thing. I'm a 3.5, 4. I will be very, very interested to see his part 2, though.
I would be very interested to see part 2. I don't know that they will do him any. I think they will do a disservice if they don't bring it up, but I don't know how they will.
Have. There's no way you can't. There's no way you can't. And then it gets into a whole big conversation about how powerful he was, that, you know, owning the Beatles catalog essentially meant he owned half of Sony Music. And there's a whole lot of conspiracy to dive down about what actually happened towards the end of his life and all that kind of stuff. But all that is out there, folks. That's part of it. We have lived through this man's life. You can go back. You can do your own due diligence and find out what's true, what's not, what's suspected, what's is hyperbolic and all that kind of stuff. It's out there, but a great piece of music memorabilia.
Yes.
Let's put it that way.
Cinematic integrity aside, it is music memorabilia.
It is. And again, no matter your opinion, I think this cements the legacy that he is a history maker and changed the face of several aspects of art within his lifetime, which a lot of people can't say.
So many other artists.
To this day. Look at your favorite artists and you'll find something about them that is Michael Jackson related. But thank you for checking into the cinema with us. I enjoyed it as much as I had issue with it. It's one of these movies where you're like, problems, I liked it, but I was like, oh, did I like it? But I enjoyed it. It was an enjoyable thing. My mum loved this,
didn't love this, loved this, didn't love this, but
there are people that I know that hated it, you know, that
walked out singing songs that I knew that touched my life.
That's why everyone's obsessed with Michael again. TikTok, everywhere. It's just like streaming. Michael Jackson fever is well and truly back. So again, go and play some songs, dance your little heart out, listen to the lyrics, and we're going to beat it. Right. We shall see you again very, very soon in the cinema. Take care. Heal the world.